Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be making a video about how I keep myself organized. Just a few very simple tips I use to accomplish things both short-term and long-term, and they have helped me so far, I think, pretty tremendously. Hopefully some of you guys might find some of the content of this video helpful, and hopefully it'll inspire you to do some new things or something like that. And as a disclaimer, I just wanted to say that I'm in no way an expert on organization. Obviously, I'm just a simple person that is really interested in that, and these are the things that have really helped me. That being said, I also have to say that some of these things may not be completely new things at all. In fact, a lot of them are things you might have heard about before many times, but hopefully some of them have new twists added to them, as you will see. And yeah, so keep that in mind. And also, they're not just organizational tips or skills, but also I add at the end, as you see, tips for motivating yourself to actually doing stuff, because we all know how it's very easy to learn about organizational skills and learn about all these amazing things you could do with your time and how you can organize yourself, and it's really easy to sort of think about all the things that you could be doing, but sometimes it's just really hard to actually do them, and that's where motivation comes in. That's just kind of a really tricky part, and it's definitely something very personal to everyone, but hopefully I can share some of the things that I personally do that really help me get my motivation back and actually do the things that I get organized for so I can actually accomplish them. So anyways, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And number one, I have everything written down, so I'm going to be looking down so that you know, just so I don't forget anything. Number one is the to-do list with a twist. That's kind of like a cutesy name I figured out for my system of writing to-do lists. And yes, I am a big supporter of to-do lists. I think it really organizes yourself. It really makes a difference, because sometimes you know how you have one of those busy days and you're thinking about all the things that you have to accomplish, and you kind of list them all in your head, but it's one thing to do that, but it's a completely other thing to actually write them down, and it almost feels like it decreases your stress and also takes the load off of your working memory or your memory in general, and it really helps you keep track of them, keep track of your accomplishments, and it's almost an accomplishment in itself, in my opinion. So basically what I mean by a to-do list with a twist is basically I don't just write down the things that I have to do that are requirements for that day, the things that I have to accomplish, but I also write down in my to-do list things that I would love to do anyways. And how I do that is basically, I'm going to be using an example and show you something I actually pulled out of my to-do list book. And yes, I do keep kind of a notebook with like a hardcover. I know it's like my journal for little girls or whatever, I don't care. But I use the pages in this to write my to-do list. And I used to write my to-do list. Let me show you an example here. I used to write it this way and then kind of erase things as I went along, and that looks, as you see, very messy. And I decided along the way, a better way for me to do it really is to actually write kind of a checklist type thing, like you see here. I just write the things down, and I have a little line by each item, and then I check over the line once I'm done with that particular item. So just let me illustrate to you the to-do list with a twist thing on an actual example, and this is on one of the days that I was studying for the MCAT. So for instance, the first item on my to-do list is Physics Lecture 3, read and questions. That means, you know, read Physics Lecture 3. And then the next one is dry my hair. You know, it's something that I would have done anyway. But this way, after I do while I'm doing the actual item, the physics lecture, that's, actually the stuff that takes effort and stuff like that, and that I have to accomplish for the day, I'm in the back of my head looking forward to the next item, which is drying my hair, which is so easy to do. But it's almost like a reward. And at the end, once I'm done drying my hair, I didn't just accomplish one thing on my to-do list, I accomplished two things. So hopefully that makes sense. So basically the to-do list with a twist is kind of putting little rewards that are things that you would have done anyway, just adding them onto your to-do list. And I know it sounds really silly and very just kind of weird, but it really made me feel so much better, because at the end of accomplishing two items on my to-do list, I was looking forward to accomplishing more, and it gives me a little bit of momentum. And every time I'm doing an item that actually takes effort and takes just lots of energy, I'm thinking in the back of my head that, hey, I get to finish this. Next item on my to-do list is, eat lunch or something, or watch something on YouTube. And I just kind of intertwine my rewards with the stuff that I actually have to do. So this is kind of my idea of a to-do list with a twist. And I also like to actually keep this notebook, just because it keeps everything in one place, organized, because before I used to just kind of write stuff down on scraps of paper and I would lose them, and it just makes everything more messy. But I just love to have a specially designated notebook that could actually just keep that whole thing organized in there. The next item on my organizational skills thing is the Excel list, and the importance of that in terms of long-term goals. And I have a good example for you guys, and I have my laptop here, and I'm going to show you really quickly what I'm talking about. So this, hopefully you can see, is an Excel spreadsheet of all the med schools I applied to. And you can do that for pretty much anything from tracking your job applications to tracking your projects for different classes, like your semester projects if you're in college, or anything like that. Anything that requires kind of a long-term commitment, that you can have different variables that you can keep track of. So for instance, with my med school list, I have obviously, first column is the name of the school, and then I have application deadline, then I have the fee that it's going to cost, average GPA for people that were admitted, average MCAT, location, and then I have the most important column is color coded. So for example, it talks about the secondaries, like for instance, if I received them, I would write not completed yet if I didn't complete it. For the ones that were finished, I just wrote finished in green. For the ones that were not completed, it was red, so it's kind of like an alarming color, so I know I have to do them. And really, with these kinds of lists, you can get a little bit creative, and it really makes you feel like you're keeping track of things. You can do that with your spending. You can do that with just so many things that really are not just very, oh, it's just something to do today. It's more for long-term things, and I really find that really, really helpful. And I've done the same thing with my job applications. I just write, the place I applied to, date I applied to, the location, like a contact number for like a person I could be calling, stuff like that. So yes, let me get my list back up here. Okay, number 3 is very, very simple, but don't underestimate the power of the calendar. I have a calendar on my desk. I have a little diary thing with a calendar included. Calendars are extremely important to kind of visualize the month ahead. I really like those that just have your month and maybe a picture, whatever. But I really like that because you can just write down what's coming up in that month. You can just focus on that. I'm a big lover, I don't know why, of just crossing out the days when they're done. I don't know why I really like that. But anyways, moving on now to item number 4. And that deals more with motivation. It's really easy to just make an Excel list and make a to-do list and write all those things down And then for some reason you just don't feel like doing anything. You know, it happens to all of us. It happens to the best of us that we have those days where either we're tired or we're just not motivated, or it all just seems too overwhelming, and we need a little pick-me-up that could just help us just get started. And for me, a huge instant motivator, I like to call it, is exercise. If I'm waking up one day and I'm just not feeling it, like with studying for the MCAT, it was getting pretty lonely because you're not going to school every day. You're just like kind of studying every single day. You're kind of cooped up with those study books, and it can get pretty just depressing in a way because I don't know, it's just some days it just becomes harder. And one thing that helped me out without fail is some form of exercise. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to go to the gym and start pumping weights for 5 hours. It's really just going out for a walk. That is just absolutely invaluable, and I think that most people can do that. You know, you don't have to start running marathons or anything like that if you're not into running, but I think that a walk, like even a 20-minute walk, you know, just get your favorite music and just go walk outside. You'll come back, you'll feel so much more refreshed. That always happens to me, and I can always just kind of think clearer and start actually tackling the stuff I have to tackle. Another thing for me is I love running, and running actually gives me such an amazing high and just makes me feel so much more motivated and energetic. And if it's nice outside, and if I'm feeling in the right mood, I'll definitely go out for a run, and then I feel like the next of the day is amazing. And obviously I'll write the run down on my to-do list so that I can check it off, and it's really nice to check off something that you actually loved doing, and it gets you started on your to-do list. So kind of connecting back to the first tip there. And last but not least is long-term goals for sustained motivation. And basically what I'm meaning by that is in order to keep yourself motivated on the long term, let's say you have this dream or this goal that you want to accomplish in the next however many years, it's always really nice to actually write that down and have it somewhere close to you where you can reference back to it. Because when you're going through like a really stressful time, and when you feel like you're kind of overwhelmed by all the stuff you have to do in order to accomplish that goal, it's actually really nice to go back and read it and to think about, you know, the end of all your struggles in a way. Obviously, struggles never end. You know, you're always going to have stress and something in the way, but it's really nice to look at that ultimate goal and think, you know, it's really worth like all this trouble I'm going through today, because in the end I'll accomplish that goal. And for me, that's getting into med school. For other people, it would be getting that dream job. For another person is, you know, losing the weight that I want to lose, or getting my fitness goal, or whatever that may be, or getting like an amazing relationship, whatever. Just write down kind of your dream goals, like your dream life that you really want to have, and read that every time you're not going through such a great time, just to think about that, going through all these problems and keeping at it and keep working, keeping to work at accomplishing that goal could really become so amazing. And it really reminds you of that, and that definitely helps me. So this concludes my very simple tips of how I keep myself organized. I really hope that some of you guys might find this helpful in any way. And I thank you so much for watching, and please leave me any video requests, and also if you have any tips for how you keep yourself organized that I could and anyone else could reference back to and be inspired by, please make sure to leave me a video response or a comment or anything like that. I'd really love to read what you have to say about that. So thank you again for watching, and hope you have a great day.